Weibel. I'm an artist in Fresno, California, and I've done art for over 20 years. My background, I was a psychology major and a little bit of an English poetry major. And then later in life, when I was about 50, I started doing art. And first I did printmaking and used the figure, and then a little later I started doing gunpowder drawing when, after seeing Sai-Kwa Chang, who's the Chinese-born international star that does huge events with gunpowder, and Renee and I, my wife, were in Washington, D.C., and I saw these billboard-sized pieces that he had done of gunpowder, and I was so knocked out by it that I had to try it, and I'm not a gun guy, so I had to call a high school friend that I knew loaded ammunition and stuff, and he gave me some gunpowder, and I started small and did some little explosions, and then I saw the potential and the unique mark making, and it was just fascinating. So I did that with some success, and then over time I became known as kind of the gunpowder artist, and I was ready to try something different, which I did. So I've done a number of other things. I've done three-dimensional big series on personal totems, kind of spirit guides that were somewhere between Kachina and Pinocchio, I guess. And then I've done a series on using maps with a theme of carry to shore. So I've done that. And then more recently, because of COVID and other restrictions, I was doing postcards and sending those out. I did over, I think, 300, and I have more, and I haven't really stopped any of those kinds of media. So they all sort of overlap and are just limited by my amount of energy I have and space to do it. So today I hope to show maybe a quick sample of a number of things that you might be interested in. It is, I have my little etching press here that I do some printmaking with this. So that's here, and then this table, obviously the gunpowder, when I do that in the backyard. I have a setup out there that I do that. But most of the work, yeah, I do here, and before we moved here, I had another studio that was a converted smaller garage, but I had actually a big wall that I could put things up that I miss here. But you know, I love doing art, and there's always something new I haven't done that I'm real interested and want to try, and so it's pretty easy for me to adapt. I spent some time in Japan, and I'm always reminded of those masters of ukiyo-e, the woodblock, that would sit in one place, and they were able to do incredible amount of work and series of work without even moving. They would sit, you know, in one place and do all this stuff. So it's a little bit of a challenge sometime. And then the way I work, and I don't have assistants, I need a number of assistants, but is going from, you know, something real clean and pristine to, you know, the three-dimensional stuff with, you know, woodchucks flying around and rust and metal and sawdust. And so I'm always trying to clean up and get ahead of to have a space to work. So it's an evolution that I love. Today, well, I started by taking a figure drawing class at Fresno City College. I'd already gone to Fresno State and had psychology as my major, but I was going through some changes in life, and I wanted to take an art class. I'd never really done anything serious. So I took a printmaking class and a figure drawing class, and they were just wonderful. It just opened up a whole universe for me. And Ann Scheid was one of my teachers and was real encouraging. And as I started to draw the model more and more, and then I would do that outside of class, then draw a lot from the model. And that was so informative, and I felt like I could learn any art technique or process I wanted through the model, that everything was there. Plus, it had that human element that was so dynamic, you know, when you're drawing a real person in front of you. This is a real model. I don't know if you can see this. Let me put it on. But this is life tracing. So this is Dixie. So she's there, and I hold this plexiglass right up to her, and then with a grease pencil, I trace her outline. But to answer your question, less and less I use a model because I have lots of images and there's millions, internet and whatnot. I usually start with a silhouette, so I'll cut out, I'll draw a figure, and then I'll cut that out. And this is in process. I would cut out much more so I could define, you know, some of this. But then I put gunpowder over, under, around in different ways and make an ignition. All right. So before I light this, it will just have just a second where we can all kind of appreciate the energy of the universe. And let me take a breath. So that's some of the, that's the exciting part. So you can,
oh, that's beautiful.
get a little idea how that works now.
That's awesome.
No, it depends. There's two primary kinds of gunpowder. There's the common kind, which is called smokeless. That's all the brown and golden tones you see. And then there's the old original style that was invented in China, and it's called, it's black powder, what I call pirate gunpowder or flintlocks. You know, you're familiar with that, and it's pretty easy to make. I think there's about 3 or 4 ingredients. So that's, but that's, and that's the black you see here.
Oh, okay.
So the black, let's see, here's some more. So her hair is that, but some of these are even more, anyway, the black can give real dynamic and unique, again, little spider web kinds of things. Let me see if I can find, here's some maybe. So here you see a combination of, you see these little lines? That's from the black powder. So that's unique. So those are little runs of energy. When that explodes, it's run. So when you were asking about does it explode, it can. And there's a story we don't have time for where I had to go to the emergency room, Frank, you know, where I became kind of cavalier about my new media. And it was the black powder that's very dangerous. I should say that on anything. It's very dangerous and very explosive, and you can put a little black gunpowder here and light something over here and this will go off. I mean, it doesn't have to be in direct contact. No, Sai-Kwa Cheng, like I said, he's the father, but he does more events, you know, where he'll do a huge thing in an aircraft hangar. And then if you go online and do gunpowder, there's a lot of people I see. I haven't looked for years. When I first started doing it, there was nothing on the internet. Today you go and there's a lot, but what I see is people make their complete perfect design laying out the gunpowder like a sand painting. And I've done that. You know, so you do a sand painting with gunpowder, and then you light it, and it goes and burns the painting the design you've already made.
And then it's all done.
Yeah, and to me that's not exciting. I like the chance, and so the way you get that is you lay it out in different ways, and then the compression is what happens. That's how you get the flare and some of the special mark making. I started, because I was inside and didn't have a lot of room, I started just doing little designs and postcards and sent, I thought, oh, it's a good time to send it. So I made a few small postcards and little designs and started to send those out. And I always liked that idea of mail art. Years ago, I did a little bit of that where I just sent a blank card to somebody. But anyway, I sent these cards, started to send them, and then on Facebook, I like the idea of making a card, putting a little message and sending it. It was real fun, and people would get it, and it gave them a little lift a lot of times. So the theme was stay buoyant on a sea of change, kind of. And so anyway, I started making cards and sending them, and I said, well, if you want one, just let me know on Facebook, you know. And so people would send me their address, and I'd send them a card. And so we did that, and so that kept going, and I really liked doing a lot of different, like this one has a little fumage, candle soot, so I have a candle under here for some of that charcoal looking. And then this has some figures with masks and design. So I just started doing different postcards and sending them. And then when there was the controversy about the mail and closing down or limiting some of the mail, then I did some mail trucks. I don't know if you can see that one. There's another one. Anyway, I have a number of them. So neither snow nor rain nor heat nor gloom of night, you know, that will keep us from our appointed rounds. So that was the message on a couple of these with a mail truck, and I did those. Anyway, as I was doing those, I started going to Zoom meetings, and I would see on Zoom, I would draw, you know, the squares sort of as I was waiting and listening to people talk a lot of times. And then that led to Zoom, some more Zoom like this. And then here's another one that I like the idea of squares, and I like the idea of the variety, not just of the subject, but of kind of the style. So you see a big difference between, say, this one and this, and these are sort of cartoony, but I really liked, and I like the bright colors, and it was fun. But you can see this was a postcard, and then pretty quickly you can see then that was used here. Then I thought, oh, I like that image, and I like the idea of this beard going, beyond the limits of the little Hollywood squares we're in when we do Facebook, when we do a Zoom. And then this is a more recent one. This was a friend, Keith, who had COVID and made it through, but he had a tough time, and he insisted on posting a picture of him that just looked awful. He had a big black eye, his hair was all over, but he's kind of a character, and he wanted to post that. So I did a little kind of watercolor of him for one of these Zooms. So this is in process. One thing leads to another. I just sort of follow my muse or my bliss or whatever the next indicated thing is, and continue to enjoy doing it.